Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and it is Monday, which means we're going to do a little art lesson. First of all, again, I just want to thank you for everybody who's subscribed. If you come down to learn how to draw, these are real-time videos, so if you have a serious intent to learn how to draw, I'm not going to time-lapse these things and make them 10 minutes. If you can actually see the thing in process, you're going to be able to get better and see how long it actually takes to do things. Now, obviously, when you get better, sure, you can speed up some. But what we're going to do today is we're going to use these same kind of like stick figure methods to now draw animals, right? So we did humans with stick figures. Now we're going to use stick figures to turn them into animals, okay? So we're going to use this picture right here. And I want you to know that pulling up references is okay, all right? It is okay. There is nothing wrong with using a reference. Anybody who tells you that is wrong, okay? Using a reference to help guide you is the key, all right? So we're going to start with these bears here, okay? So we're going to learn how to draw bears. The first thing I want you to do is we're going to look at things like the muscle structure and things like that. And like for the humans, we did like a circle for the shoulder, right? So like what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to sketch in. And another thing I want to mention is I got a brand new camera. That's why it looks a whole lot clearer, and I got a new microphone, so I'm super excited about that. But anyway, like I was saying, um, we're just going to draw in a circle for the head right now, okay? So this will be our head, right? Now, if you notice on the bear, it's a brown bear. He's got a hump in the back, right? Now, one thing that I like to do is exaggerate things. So though we will be drawing this like a bear, I'm going to exaggerate a little bit on some stuff, but still the process is, the same. And then we have this big section back here that leads to the hump, right? So we want to kind of use the head here as a guide. Okay, so just like I said with stick figures, we're wanting to use this as a guide to help us, okay? Now this little line in here I did not mean to draw, so my apologies. All right, so that's our head, that's our spine. All right, well now we gotta start building things like the same thing we did with humans. So where our shoulder line is right there at the head, theirs comes off the same way. So we're gonna kind of come out back at the head, right? And then this other one would disappear back here behind the body. So we're just setting them up. I'm gonna lightly sketch in a circle there for the shoulder, okay? And then we're gonna bring that down. And that'll run us to our elbow here, okay? And then I can take that down into the foot, okay? So basically what I'm doing is I'm stick figure drawing the position of this animal. So I'm placing another shoulder over here, and that's going to come down because he's going to be kind of stepping forward and go into the elbow there. Then we're going to take it and go straight down to the ground, a little bit further back, so the paw will be back just a little bit more than the one that we have up here. Okay, so I have my head, I have my shoulders and arms. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to come back here off the hips, right here. So I'm going to draw in my circle here, and then that leg's going to kind of come forward just like a dog's would, right? It's going to come forward down into the knees, okay? And then that's going to turn down to the back side here for another foot, okay? So now I have my placeholder skeleton in for this body. Now what I can start doing is building the meat onto that, right? So the first thing I can do is like with the head, I can come out here and I can start sketching out the shapes of different things like the nose and just build that shape in there. And then we're going to come in here. Now bears have this kind of like weird triangular lip curve thing going on. Okay, so I'm going to make that kind of shape there and allow that to run back into the head. Okay, maybe put a little curve on the end so I know that's where the mouth ends at. And then I'm going to come down in here and I'm going to go right underneath the mouth. Okay, and we're just going to take that under and wrap that up to the front like this. So now I'm building up my head. Now the next thing I want to do is start establishing the rest of the head shape, which we have most of that in place. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to go from the point that my mouth ended at right here, and we're going to kind of build out that extra fur on the face. Okay, so we can kind of cut down into it and use that head shape. I can clean up certain areas just so I can see it a little better. Alright, and then that part's going to come and turn in, and they have these, if you look closely at their heads, they got these real rounded portions, right? And then they have this thick piece that kind of comes back down for so this is the part where you can start building the bear with the reference image. So you're not using the reference image in order to necessarily draw one for one what you're seeing. It's just to see where things are placed, but it's mainly for like, you know, with the nose, like knowing that, you know, I can see it comes straight back here, so I'm gonna go ahead and refine that. And as it curves up, it makes this kind of curve up into the head. So I can erase that back and just kind of leave that line separate. And with this piece that comes down, I can take this down around the other side over here. Okay, so let's start cleaning up some of this stuff in here. Okay, and then I can like refine my nose a little bit more. So I'm going to take my nose and refine that. I'm going to go down into the face and just bring the nose over this way. Okay, now if you want to, you know, kind of help yourself see it a little bit, you could go ahead, if you're confident in it, meaning like you're satisfied with what the shape is. So you can go ahead and just kind of fill that in black and leave like a little glare on it just so that you know that's your nose. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and, since I'm here, I'm going to define and refine my lip for the bear. Maybe bring out the bottom jaw just a little bit more just so it comes closer. To this part of the lip. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure, see, we have this split in our head, but we don't really have the eyes defined yet. So what we're going to do is that if you look at the grizzly bear or the brown bears, they have these kind of thick heads, like forehead regions. So we really want to pronounce that side of the head there. And then from right in here, we can kind of draw that eye shape. Right in there on the face. Okay. So this is what you should have so far. Something that looks like this. Now, the next thing I want to do is we want to get this part of the head, we probably don't want it touching right there, just so we can have that separation. So I'm just going to clean that up. Okay. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to take another kind of chunk of the head, and we'll kind of bring that out and curve that down. So that's what we're just breaking up the shapes that we can see in the bear that makes the things the shapes that they are. Okay, so we're gonna go down, and then I'm gonna make that ear shape right there. Okay, so with the ear shape in place, I can now switch sides and come over here and I can do, let's make the eye shape first. Okay, so we kind of have that part of the forehead there, like that. Okay, and then we have our eye shape for the bear. Now I am just going to color that in the same way I did the other side. Don't get me wrong, bears have eye colors and stuff like any other animal, but I'm just going to leave that in there. We're going to kind of shape the top of the forehead here. Okay, and then I can come behind this space over here, and I can go ahead and put in that other ear and build that up. And remember, this is like just one way that you can do this. You don't have to, do like, see, I'm building up the head first. Like, you could draw in all the shapes first if you wanted to. This is just how I personally like to work. You're just going to have to kind of find your own niche thing that you want to do. Okay, so I'm going to come back down here. We're going to extend this piece out here a little bit. Get some of that kind of a neck roll that goes back. Okay, and then I want a little bit of that fur that comes down right off the center of the chest right here. Okay, so that's that head shape. Now I need to work in the rest of the body. So we have this fold in here, right? That's going to kind of come up just past the head. But then we're going to have that thick region just before we get to the rest of the shoulder. So like this area is going to kind of cut down in front of the shoulder, right? So I'm just going to take that down, and we're going to take this straight into that little fur piece. Okay, I'm going to refine that up. And you can see we're starting to build the shape of this bear up. So I'm going to do like a little cross fold, like where you don't want these two pieces touching right here. So I'm going to kind of turn this in and have this go over the top a little bit. And we're just going to take that and work our way out. Okay. Now eventually when that comes down to the head here, we do see a slight hint of that shoulder, right? But what I'm going to do is we're going to clean up, because if you look closely at the bear around the head area, that meaty part we did right here where the head comes out, we kind of have to do that same thing on this side right here. Then we can bring that shoulder back right there. Okay, so now that I have this section done, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take care of this leg, this backside leg that's over here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to draw that down. All right, and have that go that way. And we're just going to shape it out into a foot right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make these little toe shapes down in here, just so that we can get the shape that we see. Now we can't see all of the foot pads from this angle, like the toners, I guess you would say. Um, but yeah, we're gonna go that way, and then just take that up here. Okay, so now I can clean up all inside that area, right? I can take and add some bear claw in there, just down here at the end. Okay, and then that little piece where we kind of went over the top, if you want to. I mean, it just depends if you're going to color those claws in black. You can erase out that line that's going through the center there. Okay, so now I want to build up my shoulder on this side here. So I already have it in place, right? So all I have to do is just kind of bring that down into the leg, and once I have that shoulder established, right, I can build that up that way. Okay, now for the elbow, I do want to go back, and what I'm going to do is, just to give it a little bit more, we're just going to add some fur on that and just have that kind of shoot down towards the leg. You could have a couple of extra pieces of fur coming off of here, and just curve that down into that paw. And then what we can do is, we want this one is going to pass in front of what we have right here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to swoop that down and connect, and then just erase out the parts we shouldn't be seeing because they are in the back. So that kind of brings us back to, you know, what we see in perspective. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean out the skeletal structure here. Okay, so you can see how we're building up the bear now, and we started with a skeletal structure. So again, I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to build up these toe shapes for my bear. Okay, and just draw that out. All right. So once I have those in place, I can do the same thing I did with the other one. I don't know if you've ever seen a bear at a zoo, but even in the picture you can tell they do have some pretty big claws. So I'm not saying you have to, like, you know, Wolverine them and go, you know, 12 feet out in one direction, but you do want them kind of hang over a little bit. Okay, so our bear's coming along. The next thing we want to make sure that we do, we have our shoulder in place, right? We want to start building up towards the hump here, okay? So we're going to draw a line of fur down right here, right? Because we want to have those exaggerated folds come down into the bear, just to kind of help beef up the body, okay? And then I'm going to use this here for my hump shape. I'm going to come up, and we're going to take that over and bring that down. And then I can just erase out that centerpiece. So what that does is that gives us the brown bear's hunch in the back. And then we have to start working our way back to the hips. But before we get to the legs, we got to make sure we get that meaty part of the stomach. So we can pretend that running from this fur part, coming from underneath, we can come out and turn that up. Just adds another layer to the bear itself. and then have another piece that comes out. Think of it almost like putting, I mean, lack of a better term, just like fat rolls on this bear is what we're trying to do, is layer him up, okay? And then I'm going to come out here from this point, and we're going to use that hip. So that little circle that we have there, I'm going to take that out, and we're going to go down with it. Okay, once I have that in place, I can erase out the hip. Okay, and the whole time we're using these pictures over here to look and see how things are shaped. So always be studying doing this. Is again why I do the real-time videos, so you can get an explanation and see why things are forming and shaping the way they are. So we're going to come down from this point here. Now, some of our legs should not be shown. So like here's where my knee is. So I can kind of come in here and add like a little bit of a rollage just to give it some definition. So I know that my knee is there. But the bear has so much meat on the body and stuff that we're not really going to see it defined too much. But we can kind of come out and get our foot drawn in right here. Okay, so I can come back with my toes. Maybe see a third one. That'll be up to you. If you think you don't need that other toe in there, that's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to clean up this whole inside right here. Cut that back, right, and then add in my claws on that foot. Okay, so now we have completed ourselves a bear. If you want to, you can take your time, go in there, and just really refine the line work, spruce it up. But that's completely up to you. Okay, well that's a pretty generic, pose for a bear. But we also have another bear that I chose that's kind of standing up, right? So we're going to do the same thing again, and we're not just going to draw bears. We're going to go ahead and draw a couple of these animals that are on here. So the video will be a little longer than usual, but again, this is for your benefit. If you actually take the time to watch, listen, and do, and then practice on your own with the homework, I promise you're going to start showing improvement within a few months. It's not something that can just be learned in a day. So let's do the same thing. Let's go ahead and we're going to set up the head shape. Okay, so I'm just going to draw in a head like this. Okay, now we want to make sure that we get that spine coming out. And the reason why I'm drawing it this way with that little bit of a curve is so I kind of can see where my belly is too. But again, with the shoulders, with the bears, if you look at it like the way they stand, they kind of drop quickly. So as we come out and we have this little line right here, it's going to be shoulders close to the head, right? Just because of the way that they're keeping their balance. They're not meant to be bipedal, but they can get up on two legs. So now that I have my shoulders in place, I can go ahead and I can bring my arm down. Now we are going to add a bend to this. So I'm going to put my elbow piece in here and have that come up to the paw right there. So right now it doesn't look like much, but again, just like we did our lessons with the skeleton on humans, we're doing the same thing with the animals. We're just setting up in a dynamic pose, if you will, for animals, how we're going to build this up. Okay, so I got that set up. I have my spine down here. We need to find the bear's torso is pretty long if you see it, and so we need to find our hip line is going to kind of come down here in this region. Okay, obviously we can make adjustments if needed, but I am just using the skeletal structure to help set up the bear. Okay, So we're going to take this down from here and kind of turn, because they kind of stand a little awkward, so they kind of really spread out their gait in their stance. So actually, let's take this one and go more down at an angle this way and build in that leg there, and then put in the bottom here and go ahead and make that foot come out this way. Okay, so this one's a little bit more of an advanced version, but you should see the same results. But it's a little bit harder drawing animals because they are not going to stand the same way. Okay, so now that we have all that in place, we can start building things out again, right? So for example, I think what I want to do with this head, and again, remember, I like to stylize things. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this head is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extend the neck out this way, because we're going to have all that fat and fur up in there. So we're going to come in here and I'm just going to go ahead and draw the head out this way, almost like a human. And the reason being is, like I said, we're going to have a lot of stuff filled in on the inside there. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to draw in the nose. Okay, so if we look at the picture reference, we should be able to clearly see the shape of a bear's nose. Okay, and again, I'm just going to fill that in just so that I can see that that is my nose. Okay, you don't have to do that. All right. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the face down from here and make that little triangle curve going on. And then I'm going to come out this way and make that same shape again. Okay. Now, we do want, I'll leave a mouth open a little bit, so I'm just going to kind of like make this dark circle right here. And then I'm going to come down and now I've built my face into place on there. Okay. Let me see if I can slide this over some. That way it focuses more in this area. Camera's got an autofocus thing that's kind of fuzzing in and out every time I move my hand, so sorry about that. I'll look into that. Okay. Now, once we have that in place, I can start building up those sections that come around. So like the part of the head where we have the most shape, just above the eyes, I can build that up. And then I can curve this side up, go around, and we make the eye shape that way. Just clean up inside there. So it's almost like making a wonky heart. Alright, and now when I'm going to add these eyes in, now this part of the nose right here is going to be like our bridge, like when we're drawing faces. So I'm going to take and make my eye shape. Again, I'm just going to fill it in this way. If you actually want to give them individual eye balls, that's fine too. Okay, but I'm just going to fill it in dark. I'm going to come on this side over here And we're going to add in our eye over here on this side. And so we built up the face. And now I'm going to take it and we are going to divide that head out. With the hump, maybe put a few flaring hairs out here. Okay, but the real goal is we want it to have layers to it. So like this section that comes down, I'm going to want to split it and come over like this. So it's almost like we're giving them like a hair piece in a way. Okay. And we'll want that to come down. Have that flare come out right here. And we'll take this, we want this to come down into this shoulder section. So we're going to have like a roll right here. And then we're going to come up just for that part that's resting on the shoulder. And then we can kind of have that come down into there. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to erase this line going down the center. And what that'll do is just help us get that split. Because remember what I said, I don't want them all touching in the middle. It's the same thing. I want to leave that layered look in here. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, we took this down into here, so if we look at the picture, we have to kind of widen out our piece this way, just to get that turn. And then we have the thickness that comes over our shoulder right here. Okay. And we'll take that down that way. Alright, so the next thing I want to do, so we want to really build in that illusion of the shoulder. We don't want too much of it. So we're just going to have another roll come in. And then have that come out. And we can clean up the inside over here. Okay. So if we look at that, we have ourselves a nice roll. What I'm going to do now is we're going to beef up the elbow because we want the forearm to pass in front. Alright, so I'm going to take it and we're going to curve out with the shape and then go all the way up to the paw with it. So I can erase out this area right here just so you can see it passing in front. And then I'm going to take it around to the wrist right here, maybe another roll right in there, and then come up that way around the hand. Okay, so the key thing is like the paws of a bear. If you can't see them in the reference that you got, just look up bear paw and you'll find that they have, just like any animal with pads, they have this shape here on the palm, and then they have some separation and they have the paws like that. And then all you have to do is add that extra shape going around the top. And then you can just put claws on the end of it like that. Okay. Now, the other side, works kind of the same way. We're going to come in and we're going to add in another roll just for effect. Like I said, if you look closely at these bears, they have a lot of rolls on their body, just from all that extra fat. And then we're going to come in towards the chest right here. So I'm just going to clean that up. And then we are going to build a resemblance of a chest. So it's not going to be, you know, like a human, but we do want that shape so that we can see the separation of the body into that. Okay. And now we're going to come out into the forearm. It's a little bit bigger on this side because where we're tight and pulled up this way on this side, this end we got more of the fur and the fat hanging off, so it'll be a little bit on the thicker side for that one. And then we're just going to kind of draw in that hand shape. So we're just going to erase out the stuff that's in the way. Okay. And then for the claw part, you can kind of just draw these rounded shapes out. Okay, so they have 5, really just like we do. They just don't have as much movement in it. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw those claws in there. And now I have all my fingers in place. I could probably draw, just for effect, a little line there, kind of show where the fur would be. Okay. Now, one thing I did forget, and that's probably why he's looking a little bit more like a lion. We do want to draw in the bear's ears. So just go ahead and go up to the top there. I'm going to shrink this part down. I think it's a little bit too tall. Okay, to more like that. And then we'll just stick an ear around the general region as to where it would show up. Okay, so it'll look more like that. Now we want to come in and start working this body. Okay, so we've got a tad bit of it comes through here. And we want that to kind of extend down into the hips. Okay, we want, again, to give some vague indication of body shape. So now I can get rid of the center line to a point down in here. Okay, because what I want to do is we want to get that belly shape in here. So we kind of want that to kind of pass down in front of the hips, like that. So let's clean up those back sides of the arms because we shouldn't be able to see those. Let's actually bring the belly out some more. I'll have it roll right off the chest here. And have it curve down. Okay. So now that we have that, we could give a little bit of illusion of extra fur down the center of the belly. Just put in these little quick zigzags down in there. Okay. And then what I'm going to use this hip for is we're going to roll down like this way towards the knee. We want it to kind of curve out first and go down like that. I'm going to do the same thing over here We want it to kind of curve down in front of the knee. Okay, I'm going to take that out this way. And build the body up there. Now, this part here, we want to kind of have a split. So let's just go ahead and get rid of that hip shape. Okay, let's broaden this a little bit more and have that kind of curve out with the belly. So let's go ahead and erase all this extra stuff in the middle so it stands out some more. Okay, and then we'll have some fur here. And then take the thigh out this way. Really have it fold down into the knee. The nice part about animals are a little bit of just wide shapes. There's not a whole lot of definition to them. So I'm going to clean out the inside of that leg, cause a little separation on the stomach there. Okay. And then we're going to come in and draw these feet out. Okay, so I'm going to draw those nails on the end. And then as you go, like if I wanted to draw this like super detailed, super stylized, you know, that's a separate video. So if that's something you want to see, leave that down in the comments. And I can show you how to push these to the next level once you're used to drawing them. Okay, so now I want to take that foot, and they're a little on the short side here, so that's just how they're shaped. But we're just going to build out these toes with the claws on them, at least as much as we can see them. Have that come back and kind of cut in front. Okay. And that's going to be, you know, 2 different drawings with your bear. So the next thing that I wanted to do is we want to do these horses. The reason why I chose the Clydesdales is because they have a lot more meat on their bodies, so we can actually pick things up to where they need. Okay. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start with like a side view of a horse. So the same thing, I'm just going to come in here and we're going to build up a structure, right? So I'm just going to kind of build a head for the horse just so it's there. Okay. So I'm going to build that head in there. We're going to take the neck down, right? I'm going to build in a shoulder, and these are some beefy horses. They got some muscles on them. Okay, so we're going to really make sure, because just like I said with the humans, you got to think of it like you're building the skeletal structure of the horse itself. Okay, so we're going to kind of take this down. I don't really have, I guess this would be like their knees, you know. So we're going to take that down into the knees, and then take that down into the hoof right there. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is come to the back of the hips here, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make the hip bone just as beefy as the front shoulder, right? And then right there from the hip, we're going to go straight back into the knee here, continue down right into the hoof, Okay. So again, when looking at it, you're like, what in the world? Like, it's not looking like it's going to be right. But I promise you, once we get, like, we can go ahead and kind of build a generic shape here for the horse. Because if you look at the Clydesdales, this is huge. This is like, if I completely shaved it and it's been, you know, emaciated, just not been eating, you know. So we're going to put another knee in here, come right down, and then we're going to come back this way. And come down with our foot over here. Okay, so now we have the basic structure of our horse. All right, so again, I'm going to stylize it a little bit, but what we're going to do is come up here and I'm going to start with the head. I have a thing for faces. You could build up the body first. So let's do that. We'll try to work in a backwards way from what I would, but like most people would probably start here in the center. So we're going to take this and really build out that thigh muscle over the top of our bones. Okay, so again, just using my reference to help me build up my horse. Okay, so now that I've built that over the top of the bones, I don't need all of this inside of here, right? And then coming from here, we want to kind of have a little bit of an overlay right here, and we can keep some of this area here, and I can come down into the body and really help sell the shape of this whole muscular shoulder of this horse. Okay, just whatever little details you need to get in there in order to make that work to look like that muscle region, right? Okay, so since I have this curve up in that fold area on the leg here, I'm just going to kind of extend the line out this way. And then we're going to start building up this front leg right here. Okay, so that's going to kind of curve this way some and come down to the knee. Okay, again, just basing off of my observations of the shapes of his body. Okay, so we're going to kind of round that off right back in here. And then I'm going to take this front piece here and we're going to come down into the leg. Okay, we're going to kind of have the kneecap, or the horse's version of a kneecap. And I'm just going to clean up the inside here. Right? Then we're going to turn this out. Now, you may not see it on both these horses, but like I like the Clydesdales with the the thick fur coming off. So as I work my way down here, so I'm going to come from here and turn out. As I work my way down here, I'm going to exaggerate that fur coming off the horse. Again, you can get this from any reference that you find. Okay, so that I can see it better, and that you can see it better. Let's go ahead and clean up the rest of the inside of that leg. Okay, so I'm going to take that out and build up that fur right here on the foot. Then all I have to do is just expose the hoof just a little bit. To make it look like that fur is coming off. Okay. Now, as for the rest of the body, I can come from just below. That's why we kind of make this shape here. So I'm going to clean up right inside the leg, right here. Okay, and we're going to take that, and we're going to move from just under that spot, and we're just going to go ahead and build that shape back this way. Okay, and the reason why I'm going to stop it right there is because we need to build out this part of the horse's hips on that side. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just decide what's important. So I just want to kind of pick those parts on the horse, like in the image, that we can kind of tell where the muscles being highlighted from the image, and then we can kind of change that into our own. Okay, so like I don't want the rest of this here, so I'm just going to clean up that area like that, and then I'm going to take my leg down, and we're going to come out with it and go down into the knee. Alright, and then I'm going to come from here, again, just kind of pass right in front of the muscle. Get rid of that so you can see that better. I'm going to come from this part right here and curve that back. Just like that. And the same thing, I'm going to have my knee slightly visible, just because our leg's a little bit straighter. Okay, again, getting that from looking at the horse. Going down. And we're coming right back to building up the fur there. And I'm going to take it and we're going to come back this way. And kind of cut down into the hair over here. So now that we have that, I can go ahead and clean up this area. That way we can get our proportions right. Okay, so we take care of that whole backside. So now I can come up and really draw that hair down. Get that hoof in there like that. And we kind of want the hair to pass in front here. Okay. Then I can finish the bottom of my horse here. Okay. So you can see the difference between things that have lots of hair on them and things that have less. We can see more muscle definition in it. Okay, so I'm going to finish bringing this rear up this way. Kind of pass behind a little bit and do the curve. Okay. Now the important part is when I come up here to the shoulder area. Okay. I want to kind of make sure that my neck's starting to curve right here. That way it's more of an even run to the back of the horse, and I can clean up right inside there. Okay. And next thing is they have these big, broad chests on their body, so we want to kind of make sure that we really define that. So we have that come out this way, and then we're just going to cut in front of it a little bit. Come out and really build up that shape and bring that to the top up here. Okay, same thing with my neck here. We want to really curve that shape up into the head. Okay. Now we have a nice strong neck shape. And then what I want to do is we want to really define that muscle on the head of right where their jawline is. They have very broad jaw structure. Okay, and kind of bring that out and make that shape. And then if you look really close at the image over here, we can kind of see those little subtle shapes that come out from the face, right? To help us really build out that horse shape. So we kind of end up getting that kind of a jaw on it. Where I'm going to get a little bit more with the stylized is defining the lip more, which, you know, it's not really present on a horse, but it'll give it some character, I guess you could say. It'd be the best way I could describe that. So I really want to kind of round that right in here. And then let's kind of take it and curve it around like that. And the reason for doing that is so then when I come off the front of the face here, I can lead up to a better shape on the front of the nose. And we can take that up. And we just want a slight curve. And we want to kind of give them that hump. So let's go ahead and clear out that section. Okay. And then what I want to make sure is that I get that nose in there. So they have these bigger nostrils, like that. Okay. And then I can take that shape, because they have that kind of like a white stripe that goes down, so we can take that and kind of use that to our advantage on the side of the face here. Again, I am stylizing this, so if that head looks big to you, that is by choice. That's not going for, you know, you go for whatever kind of look or style you want after practicing this. You want to go for realism, go for realism. Okay? But we're gonna get this head shape in here. Okay? And after looking at that, I want to kind of take that back. Okay? So, intentionally making the head bigger. But you can draw whatever you want. Now, I do need to adjust this. I don't want it so close because we want it to kind of give us more of a neck shape feel to it. So that way I can take that and then curve up another edge right there. Okay? And so now I can come in here and we can give him an eye. And then I can kind of curve these hair shapes around. Again, me going for a stylized look here. And curve these hair shapes around. Okay. Now we do want to come back here, give ourselves a nice little split. It's okay if you draw onto your bear or whatever you got on your paper. These are all just practice drawings anyway. Okay. And kind of come down into the head. And give him kind of this, regal, fancy hairdo. Like that. And then just kind of split it a little bit. That way we can change the direction of the hair. And just follow that down back here. Let's cut that down some, like that. Okay. Now what I am going to do is, this is looking really skinny up top, a little bit less than I wanted. I'm going to take this part here and I'm going to curve up this way. And again, this is a personal choice for me. If you want to keep yours the same, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to take that back, and then I'll just extend that region. Okay. And then what I want to do is kind of bring out that shoulder a little bit more, just to have that kind of separation going. Okay. And then we want our tail. Just add some extra line work in there. Okay, so you can make your tail look like whatever you want. If you want it long and wispy, you could probably shrink it up and go like that. I mean, it's up to you. It's your horse. You draw it however you want. We do need to work in these back legs though. Okay, so let's finish out that. Go down. Come around the back side of the knee here. Maybe add in some line work just for extra definition. Take that out. Again, we want to kind of come down with the hair. Let's clean up that whole middle section. The bones. Okay, we bring out our hoof right here. Just kind of refine that up a little bit. Right, and then we got to get our back one on this side. It's a little bit straighter. It's still going to have those curves in there. Okay, I'm going to take that down. And then come from this side, have a slight bend, have that curve out. Again, mine's just more of a cartoony version of a horse. Okay, like I said, a horse's head is big. And what we're going to do is draw another one from a different angle, but I'll make it a little bit more proportionally sound. Okay, but just showing you how you can build up the skeletal structure. So we're going to build up now another horse kind of running at us from an angle, okay? Okay, so now that we have that, let's just go to a new page here. And let's get into a form method of drawing, all right? So instead of just breaking down with stick figures, we can also use shapes and things to help us build up the image that we want. Okay, so once you kind of get a feel for stick figures and the way that everything's in place, you can start working on the things that you remember, like the shapes and forms of things. Okay, so we're going to draw another Clydesdale. So I'm just kind of working with the head right now. Now the plus side to these using these forms instead of stick figures is you have a little bit more control over the way things look. So even though I'm still going to kind of be a little stylized with it, I'm just building up the head shape here. Okay, so still looking at my reference and seeing the different shapes. I'm going to build up my nose and the rest of my head. Okay, so see, I've used a basic form to shape out my head. Okay, so I'm going to have my nose shape get built up. And build up that front part there. Okay, so I'm going to go for a little bit more control on these. And I'm probably going to bring this down some more, just to give it a little bit more length on what I have. Okay. And then we have a little bit of the underside of the face. So I'm just using forms, again, just to build up what I have. Okay, so I want to kind of curve this out. And really build in that shape on the side of the face here. Okay, so I have this part. It kind of rounds down so I can come up into my eye, where the horse's eye would be at, and we can have that kind of fold in the head, come back into the horse. Okay, so now that I have that, I can start doing little things like adjusting certain shapes to make sure that they have a little bit more believability. Okay, so you can see how much more refined I can get with the heads. Okay, I can have like little things like center lines to help, show where placement of the hair is going to start. I can come up into this area here and really define the ear more. And just use those shapes to help build up that head. Okay, so form drawing's got a little bit more control and allows you to get a little bit more definition to it. But at the same time, you have to kind of get used to those skeletal forms, helping you build up what you have first. Okay, so see how that's allowed me to that hair in there, so we can kind of get that, more of a cooler, wispy look to these things. And I can build the hair out more stylized in that manner. Okay, so you can kind of just build what you need right now. For the hair, you don't have to do the whole thing. You just kind of working your way up. Okay. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start building up the forms on the body. Okay, so I want to kind of really get the strength of that chest to come out. So I'm just kind of using, again, my shapes that I'm seeing. Dividing the muscles up in there. Okay, so things like where the neck's going to come out, muscle-wise. Just so I can make sure that I'm getting and capturing those things to help me build out the shape of my horse. So like, defining the muscle detail and putting out the shape of the neck a little bit better. So like, right here, I'll probably turn that in just a little bit. It's a slight adjustment, but whatever you see that makes it a little bit better than what it is. Okay, so I can build that out that way. From there, I can probably put in some more neck muscle shape on here. And just kind of take that up, because we want that shape to close off up here at the top with the head. Right? So you can see how that's kind of changing what we have. I'm going to define the nose a little bit more right here. Okay. And then I can use this where I left off, and we can start with our shoulder. And we can kind of curve that in a little bit more and build up my shoulder shapes here, the muscle definition that's in there. All right. So now that I have that kind of all running right into each other, closing that off, we want to kind of start building out the front shoulder on the leg. And then from there, we can build out more of these chest muscle areas. And just really shaping up this horse. Okay, so just from doing that, I know I'm going to make an adjustment here on the chest. Okay, we're going to take that out. Once I get to about like this area here, we're going to go ahead and curve that back. And now we have more of a chest shape for that. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out just a little bit more because I want that to pass in front. Like that. And as it comes down, we can add in some more of those muscle details. And I'm just going to kind of work my way back and forth to try to keep it as even as possible, just so I can maintain those shapes I'm trying to build up. Okay, so really looking at and defining these shapes is what's going to help you get better at form drawing. And you can kind of do like I'm doing and just be creative with it and kind of just let it exaggerate. So like, you know, my placement of like the hooves and, you know, the leg shapes and stuff, those are all, you know, they're accurate, but then I'm kind of, you know, exaggerating and stretching those out just so that they can be a little bit more stylized. Like I want to bring this out some more on that fur, and then right here probably honestly want to turn that in just a little bit. And then we can stretch this out and give it a little bit more thickness to it. Going into the foot. Okay, same thing with the front here. We can go ahead and build up a front leg, kind of make it look like he's trotting forward. You know, really build out those forms and the thigh muscles, just so that we can see what we have. And working like this will make it a little bit easier for you to really build those things out. But like the big deal is just changing your stroke lines, depending on whether you're going for realism or stylization, and just make sure that you get, you know, whatever you need in, you're getting it in. Okay, so we're going to kind of come in and finish building out these shapes. You know, I'm probably going to have a little bit of a divide here from the hair coming off the foot. Just so I have, you know, the look of hair coming on there. And let's kind of round, you know, let's kind of round that end back there. So I can do the same thing here now. I want it to kind of look like that fur's there. So we want to kind of have it look like it's draped over. Like that. Okay. So we pretty much have most of the front side of the horse done. So now I can come back over here to these legs over here. And we can cut out these muscles that go into the underside of the body. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take it back. And then cut in front of it again. Just so that I make sure like I'm kind of matching where this muscle definition is going. Okay. We can work that back leg in. And again, I'm doing more of a stylized look, so a lot more, I guess you'd say, sharper edges on things. Bringing that foot out this way. Don't need so much definition to it with the style that I'm going for. I definitely want to have that separation. I don't want those two things to touch. Okay, and because there's a bend in the foot or the back leg, we want to get that separation. Right? And then adding a little bit of that thickness, because again, we want to kind of give that illusion of the hair coming off. So we want to add a little bit more thickness down by where the foot would be, or the hoof. So just take that back. And I'm just putting these little lines in there for extra detail. And for this part of the hair, just do a slight cut off right there. Okay. Maybe with the curve down on this one, we can kind of widen that down at the bottom a little bit. Okay. And then I know I want that underside of the horse that leads into the other leg in the back. So again, just using my forms. To help with the shape. Widen those out. Down in here. Kind of come off. Like that. And just make sure that we get that hoof shape in there. Okay. And now we can start building the rest of the back side of the horse. Okay. So, getting that shape of that ligament, it connects up to the rear. Right? And just to add some depth, and put some muscle creases in there. And then bring up the rear of the horse. Extend that over. Okay, so again, we want to add the definition in there. So we kind of have like the shape of the hip here, and then obviously where the tail and that muscle on the back side of the horse would be at, we'd want that to kind of come from behind. But then it can kind of spread out. across the back here. Okay. So the only thing that we have left to do, and I'm just refining this on this side just so you can see it a little better. It's a little bit too sketchy. Okay. So you can see how building the forms, now that I'm used to drawing with the stick figures, it allows me to build up, and I'm just drawing the tail in the back here. It just allows me to build up the shapes a lot easier. Okay. And you could do little things like, give the illusion of the rest of the tail back here with some lines, and just kind of have that kind of, curl up. And end back there. And then we can finish the rest of that mane coming off the front of the head. We want to start changing direction as we go down. Just add in little lines that you need here and there. And then as you go down, that here is just kind of folding over on the other side anyway. Okay? So what I want you to do is you can take a screenshot of the fox up here. I want you to try to do one fox that's made out of skeleton, and the other one's made out of forms, and then just practice this week. Just look up pictures of animals and practice. You cannot get better if you do not practice. It's just impossible. There is no video you can find on YouTube like how to draw a horse, and then you follow along. Oh, I've mastered it. Look up horses. Look up horses and try to draw them yourselves. If you're serious about becoming better and getting good at art, you need to put in the work. Okay? You have to put in the work in order to get better. It's not just gonna magically appear. That's why I'm still talking. I'm gonna put in a little bit of an ear right here. Completely forgot about it. But yeah, it's just not how things work. And again, these real-time tutorials kind of show you how long it takes and stuff like that. For me, being drawn for a while, it still takes time. Good art takes time. Okay, a lot of these videos you watch where they're sped up and time lapse, I mean, that could have been an hour, hour and a half them drawing that picture. Okay, so there's no quick shot answer. Again, I thank you for stopping by. Let me know in the comments what you think. Anything else you'd like to see how to draw, just let me know. And remember to do that homework. You can share your work with me on Twitter. I'd love to see it. Other than that, thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for watching the whole video if you stuck with it, because you're going to improve if you really go through and practice these things. And I'm going to put an eye right here too. And you will get better. I promise. Okay? So until next time, keep sketching. Have fun. And I will see you in the next one. Okay? Bye.